So here's the one we pulled off the parts car, and we're cleaning it up with the toothbrush and whatnot before we put it in. But yeah, sorry about it. It's a really sunny day here, so glare is pretty bad. So yeah, she's getting clean there. A little bit. Halfway done, then we'll put it in. Alright, so here's the brokey one again. We need to undo all of it and get it out. So first thing to do is to loosen these guys first, because if you take it off the mount, it'll just flex and bend the pipes. So undo all the fittings first, and then now to undo these things you need this tool. See how it's open on 5 of the 6 sides? That way it doesn't strip and you end up messing everything. Alright, so the reason why you want to use that tool there, it's called a flared fitting. You want to use on these because these will just strip and turn and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, use the proper tool so you don't end up slipping, stripping, because you'll never get it out. Now, when you come into one that's a bit on the stuck side and she will strip, use a kind of chunky sledgehammer to give it that initial whack to get it loose. Alright, so we've disconnected all 4 of these. Now, if someone's tried to do a repair and there's epoxy on it, you got to get some sort of goo remover to get all the old epoxy off, so you can put it in the unit. And as well, we need to undo, just need to undo the 2 bolts on this side and make sure the arms and stuff are disconnected here, and then we can pull the unit out and put the new one in, but got to remember to take that goo off before we reassemble everything. Alright, so after a quick trip to the hardware store, we need to get the epoxy stuff off, but to get the room that we need to work with to, you know, get the tool in there and whatnot, we need to take this off. So we've got 1 and 2 10mm bolts. I recommend a first little bolt is out. Now the second one you definitely need a socket with that comes out. You're not going to be able to get a spanner or wrench in there to get that. Alright, so here's the unit as you take it off. So you got the 2 bolt holes and she comes apart. She's already disconnected on the little handle. So now it's time to clean the epoxy off of this one. Alright, so we've got the tool holding onto that there. We're going to use a drill with this one to mechanically remove the epoxy without stripping the threads. So we've got using a brass one rather than a steel, so it's softer than what we're trying to remove, and it should scrape away the epoxy quite easily. So let's give it a try. Let's continue with this route and get it nice and clean. You can tell the scratching all the epoxy out. This is only a little bit of progress. Still got to do the other sides and the excess you can still see on there, but getting there. Alright, so we've cleaned the exterior, but I think there's epoxy on the inside that stops it from turning, so we're going to use a tool and try and break it free. Alright, so we got this all cleaned up, and now it's time to reassemble the unit. Alright, when it comes time to putting the replacement part in, what you need to do is to clean out all the threads. I like to use a wooden toothpick, so that way you can scrape right in the threads and then slowly wind it out, just like as if it was a bolt or a screw. And then it's time to reassemble, but we'll get it all cleaned out first. Alright, so when you're putting the new one back on, you put it on before you attach it there, that way you can maneuver all the lines and whatnot and move this into a better position, get them all up, tighten them up, and then you can put it on the actual holding fixture. Alright, at this point we've got all 4 lines. So you've got the one that's coming from the pump, and then you've got the return to the reservoir, and then you have 2 lines that go out to the spheres and whatnot. But yeah, once you've got all these connected, you don't tighten them up all the way. Instead what you do is now you put it up and tighten it to its resting place here. It might be a little difficult and you may need a friend to hold it in place while you get it bolted in. Alright, so now we've got it all back in. I had to make a little custom with a metal rod coat hanger and looped it around there, and it's working quite well, and got the level adjusted, and now it's time to take it for a test drive. I recommend getting the proper rod, but you got to do what you got to do, and this way he can use the car until he can source another one of those little rods, because the little inserts have just crumbled and come out. So this is one of the rods. It's got a little plastic insert on each end, and they've just crumbled from heat and time, so that's why we've used the other little metal rod in place, and when we source another one of these with the inserts, we'll put that in and adjust it to the correct length. Alrighty guys, so as you can see, this is not video footage, it's a static image. What I've got here is a bit of a layout of the actual valve setup. So you've got the leveling valve, which is the little grey box, and the adjustment arm, which is the black arm coming out of it. What happens there is when the leveling arm goes up, it means the car will want to raise. When the leveling arm goes down a little bit, it will want to lower the car a little bit. But anyway, so since that little factory rod was damaged, what we did was had to replace it. It was damaged as in it had just, the plastic inserts had just gone brittle and fallen apart over time. Now, as you can tell, the the coat hanger wire is put in between two 2.5mm drilled holes. This coat hanger wire is not flexible, so it works just like the rod, but it doesn't have adjustments, so you kind of got to get it right to the level that you want. To drill the holes, I drilled the holes on the valve while it was still in the car, holding it with one hand and drilling it the furthest part away from the valve. So if I drilled a little too deep and slipped when it went through, I didn't actually hit the valve. So it's right at the end at the little red hole there. And on the top lever, I actually undid the 8mm nuts labelled as orange, and then pulled the whole lever out of the car, and then put it in a bench vise or however else you feel comfortable doing it, on a block of wood or whatnot, and drilled the hole in an appropriate place there. The reason for that is if you just try and bend the coat hanger wire around or use one of the existing holes that are not a tight fit, it will get too much slop, and it will never adjust to the right height. If you do get it to the right height, the first bump you get, it will pull it out and it won't go back to where it's supposed to be. So that's why I drilled those two holes there. So what you do is you drill your two holes, you do the setup, you get everything right, but you unplug the bottom section into the leveling valve adjustment lever. You don't put it in there. You turn the car on, and with a long, say, broom handle or something like that, so you're not physically under the car, just tap the adjustment leveling arm or lever that's on the valve itself up and down, so you get the appropriate height that you want. And then when you get the appropriate height you want, you put the lever back into the neutral 3 o'clock position, and that's when it'll stop going up or down in the level 3 o'clock position. And then you put the bottom end of the coat hanger wire into place, all while keeping that leveling arm or lever completely level, so you don't want the car to move up and down. and then you, on the other side where it goes through, you make a 180-degree bend, so that way it can't come back the other way and come out while you're driving. And yeah, do the same to up the top if you like. And yeah, it should all lock into place nicely. I would recommend putting some bearing grease or something whatnot on the, or within the 2.5mm drilled holes. Just coat the entire area, because this is only a temporary fix, but you'll probably forget about it for, say, about 6 months, a year, or it might be a kind of a permanent fix for you if you can't find the proper part. So yeah, that's one way to get this problem sorted, and I hope this has been helpful. Feel free to post any questions, thoughts or whatnot, and yeah, I hope this video has been helpful. Thanks guys. He's hoping you subscribe and wait for the next one. Feel free to add suggestions on what you'd like to see or what you're having trouble with your own older vehicle. Cheers. Bye.